We'll talk about that.
It's quite poor. Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Ian.
I'm Jason.
And this is a new venture for us. This is a podcast. But if you are listening to this, you can actually see a version of it, which is on YouTube, but we'll get back to that. This is all about music and art, and we thought it would be quite a good idea because everybody's doing a podcast, so we'll just join the throng. So the idea being that we're covering music, theatre, TV, anything we like that's art related. Let's first of all talk about what we did last weekend, I think.
Seems ages ago now.
Yeah, we're down in the southwest, and we went up to Yorkshire, to the great city of Leeds. Hey, he's got a Yorkshire accent almost.
I drink Yorkshire tea.
Yeah, well, that's half of it. We went up to the great city of Leeds, and we played at the EMOM festival. Now, if you don't know what an EMOM is, it's the Electronic Open Mic Night. I'll say it's an international movement, really, predominantly in the UK, but there's been an EMOM in Mexico and in
Montreal.
Montreal.
I think there's some in the US.
There's some in all over Europe. There's been, Berlin, Amsterdam. Invented by he says he doesn't invent it, but he came up with it, a guy called Martin Christie, lovely bloke. And we went and we performed at said EMOM festival, and we played twice, which we're the only act to do that. Now I've listened to what we played.
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
I was my next question was, what did you think of it? But I'll tell you what I thought of it. So we played 20 past 1 was the first slot, which each slot was 20 minutes, and we played one long continuous piece, and I'll probably include a bit of it, just a little bit, so that people can hear. I thought the first set worked really well. The mix was okay, and I'm not so worried about the mix because we multi-tracked recorded it, so we can do something about that. And I thought that first 20 minutes worked really, really well.
Okay. And that was the one with the least preparation.
It was.
We kind of did that on the fly.
I don't like the sound of doing it all the time, But we have our first performer probably wins the award for coming the most amount of distance from Somerset. Hey, thank you. If anyone else can pick out later on, let me know. There might be an award for it. Take it close to home. And off you go, introducing Ian J. Schultz.
Thank you. and then we played 2 songs later on, about 4:40, wasn't it? I think the first one worked fine. The mix is all over the place.
Is it?
Yeah. So some of my bits are too loud. I also think that my playing on the second piece of music, they've got names, but you know, didn't really work.
Okay.
Now we did do some rehearsals.
I think it worked
on that.
visually. Maybe listening back to the mix it doesn't work, but I think visually it had an impact in the room. You were using the gyroscope.
Oh, I did, yeah. I was using the Terror, which is a.
So I think it probably worked in the room, but actually listening back to the recording.
Yeah, I just wasn't impressed by what you played. Was fine. It was great.
Although I forgot what I was playing at the beginning of the second one. But
did you? Well, nobody else. It seems the world knows that now.
Well, most of it's improvised anyway.
Yeah, it is, and that was the whole point of it. I suspect that although it was meant to be in the same key, that key because the trouble with the Soma Terror is that it's very difficult to work out exactly what the key is, and I did do a bit of research trying to find out what was what. But then the scale of that key wouldn't necessarily be like a major or a minor. It could be microtonal, and I just thought it didn't quite seem to work as well. Now we did do some rehearsals of them, so I shall at some point in the future. I wouldn't want to put it out as it is, having remixed it. I would want to go back and listen to some of the rehearsal stuff, and maybe something there we could put out. But that's just my own. It's a pity you haven't listened, because I want your opinion on it.
Okay.
Whether you feel that I'm being. Yeah, it was a good weekend.
So I think it's worth saying. So it was right. It was pretty much in the centre of Leeds. The venue is called Society. Two floors. So the ground floor was kind of ambient, so more down tempo, more improvised. Then you went down into a basement, which was EDM, so that was more up tempo, and it was up tempo. It was 8 hours. I
went down a few times, and every time and that is not my thing at all. EDM.
It was banging though. It
was banging. It was good to see people were dancing and people were having a good time.
It was like a sweaty club. In the middle of the day. It was good.
Yeah, it was.
Good. The walls were wet and everything.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was well organised.
Very.
It was from midday till from 1
o'clock till
1 p.m.
1 p.m. till 9, so 8 hours solid. Yeah.
16 hours, 2 floors.
Yeah.
I think it was something like 50 acts.
Yeah.
All kind of blended in with each other. It was pretty good. There was a nice mix of stuff. The only thing I was thinking about on reflection was a bit disappointing that there wasn't any footfall really. There was only a handful of people that weren't performers. 4 or 5. There was a group of guys, wasn't there, that were around drinking that weren't performing. Everybody else there was performing. It's and that's a shame he didn't draw in any punters. Saturday afternoon in the middle of a city. There's lots of electronic music fans out there, and it wasn't able to pull them in.
I mean, it's the first time it's been done, and clearly, from a marketing point of view, there's no budget. It's like
Sure.
And I agree with you, but we've seen lots of EMOMs that are like that, where literally you are playing to the other people that are performing. Yeah. And this is a grassroots underground movement, and I don't quite know how you make it. I don't know how you make it more mainstream, but do you really want it to be really more mainstream?
But it would have been nice. There was a few.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
You had a couple of people wandered in from the street, bought one drink, and then left again.
Yeah.
But that didn't affect things. That was just my own, my own reflection after the event. But there was enough people in there, with 50 acts, and most of them stayed around the whole time.
Yes,
there was enough people on both floors to make it look.
Exactly. I mean, a couple of people said to me, "Oh, you're still here?" Because we were there right at the beginning. And I went, "Oh yeah, I'm staying." Because even after we played the second set at about 5 o'clock, our intention was always just to stay. So
I'll contrast that with on the EMOM tip. I went to the Bournemouth one last night.
Yeah.
They do the last Thursday of every month, and that the last few of them, it has been well populated. There was a lot of people there that were there for the night that weren't just performers. I would say there were around 50 people there last night.
That's really good because
a handful of them were the performers. The last
the one I went to, it was pretty full, wasn't it?
So that's good now that they're building up some momentum and they're getting punters in there because they're being entertained by what's going on. Exactly, it's people playing experimental. Yeah. It's the open mic night in the electronic genre, and it's good. It's good.
Yeah. I just remembered one thing about the lead, back to the Leeds thing. There has been a couple of dissenting voices I've heard. I don't know who these dissenting voices are, because the Leeds thing was for charity, and everybody who played or everybody who came in theory, should have bought a ticket. Now the tickets were only £3. I think £4. It was meant to be £4 on the door, but there was no doorman, so people, some people just came in. But a couple of there was apparently a couple of dissenting voices about the fact that they were having to pay to play. But it was for charity.
It's half a pint.
Exactly. I mean, it's not as if it was. I mean, you understand if it was a tenner and you're being asked to play, but it was for charity. So I don't know who they were. It's just I'd heard from a couple of people.
It's only £3. It's not like it was a tenner or something.
No, exactly. And actually, nobody checked the tickets because David bought me a ticket. I bought you a ticket. I did buy Dave a pint actually, but. So it was, I mean, it was just one of those things, really.
That was good. And Martin Christie was there.
He was, Mr. EMOM. I mean, I did. When he
nice chap. Very
he
nice
insisted on buying me a drink when I first arrived, and I said it was all his fault. But no, and he was meant to play, but Martin decided not to play because he's trying to rejig what he does. But he's a sort of electronic music poet. I would describe his material. I really like his stuff a lot, actually. So check him out on Bandcamp. So Martin Christie. It was a good weekend. It was great. It was a long way to go, but you drove.
So it was fine.
It was easy
on the way back.
It was.
5-hour drive. It was cool. It was fine. Yeah.
So what have you done the rest of the week? I'll get on to what I've done this week since then. But if you tell me
not so much in the music and arts. I mean, I've been working on music. I've been working on some new Sona Vida stuff.
Good stuff.
Ready for next gigs. I went to the Bournemouth EMOM last night. It's only 50 miles, but it's an hour and a half drive. So when they had 6 acts on. I only saw the first 4 just because I had to leave to get back across the counties.
It is a trek.
Yeah,
it certainly is a trek.
There was some new acts there. There was a couple of guys I've seen before. It was all reasonable stuff. It was all standard EMOM fare. To be fair, there was a guy with the biggest case of modular stuff I've ever seen. I mean, the case was almost as big as your desk.
Yeah.
And then he stood it upright, and he was good. He was very energetic what he was doing. Very complex though. Makes my head hurt thinking about all that modular gear.
Yeah, I'm not.
But again, it just showed the diversity that they have there, really, the different styles of music, people using different gear. So it was good to stay connected with them.
I'd like to go back again. I would definitely to go and play it again.
Next one's the 26th, I think it is. It's the Thursday before Glastonbury of June.
Right, okay.
A lot of people get into Glastonbury.
I have to say,
starts Wednesday, Thursday.
I probably wouldn't go on my own because driving an hour and a half, and I don't tend to drive in the dark, so it's a bit far for me to go and drive on my own, if I'm honest.
Let's see where we're at.
Exactly.
But it's good that they're keeping that rigour. They're carrying on through the summer because they are definitely building some momentum there. Lots of good acts. As I say, the pub was full. Was it the Pool Hill Brewery?
Yeah, it's a microbrewery, which is really good. And the guys who run the brewery are really good. I was having a chat to
Yeah, nice guys.
Yeah.
It's still cash only.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even take my wallet yesterday, so I sat there.
How rare is that?
Parched.
Yeah. But they're cool.
So what have you been doing? You went to London?
I've been to that there, London. So I went to London for 2 nights. The first night was because I was going to see a show that I'd reviewed at Edinburgh Fringe last year. In fact, there's a whole separate video coming out on it, so I won't say too much about it. But the show's called Dear Annie, I Hate You, and it's about the true story of a girl who had an aneurysm at the age of 20. Now that sounds incredibly depressing. It's not. The reason we went back to look at it again after we gave it 5 stars at Edinburgh Fringe last year. It was that good. Sam, who's the actor who wrote it, obviously performing in it, and it's her story. She's extended it, so it was a 50-minute show. It's now a 70-minute show, and so she's added quite a bit to it, really. And she changed the opening and all of that sort of stuff. So there was quite a lot more to see.
That's good if you're going to see a show for the second time.
Yeah,
it's changed.
exactly, yeah.
Rather than
I mean, what was odd because she sorted me out a couple of tickets, and then we bought some tickets because we took some family with us, and I'm looking for my seat, and my seat was actually right next to Sam. So Sam sat there, who's about to perform, and I realised that I'm here, and I thought, well, you know, I don't know, do I talk to her because she's about to go and perform for the next hour and a half, and then she turned around and said, hello, how are you? So we had a natter beforehand. We should have hung around at the end, but we had to get back, which is a shame actually. But and we do intend to meet up.
So is it one woman show?
No.
You don't want to give too much away.
I don't want to give too much away. There's a second actor. I'll say that. But,
is she British?
No, she's American.
Okay.
So she's brought it over from the States. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, it's on until the 1st of June. So I have some discount codes if people want to go and see it. So
where's it on?
It's on at the Riverside Studios in Hammersmith. Now, talking to some Londoners, everybody went, "Oh, Riverside Studios, it's a bit of a trek." No, it isn't. You get off at Hammersmith, which is near the Apollo, and it's a 6-minute walk from the tube station to the edge of the river, and the Riverside Studios are there. They're I thought they were ITV studios. They're ex-BBC studios. Then they revamped them in 2016 to 2019. They have lots of stuff on there. There was a sort of, what the hell? It was like a Star Wars. It was the Empire stripped back, which people were all dressed up in sort of Star Wars stuff, and it was a burlesque show in one of the theatres. So they've got multiple theatres. They have films on and all sorts of stuff. Great venue, great food. We had another meal there.
The Star Wars one must have started on May the 4th. That's why it's Star Wars.
Maybe probably, yeah. But it was a really good. It's a really good place to go. Fairly easy to get to, and you can get great food when you get there. So,
How much are the tickets?
Tickets are £24 standard. If you're NHS, you get it for 15 anyway. And there's a concession at 22 if you're old. I think old, but it just said concession tickets. But so if you if you're going to go and you're going to book a ticket, I was given after we went a refer code. So this brings the price down to £10, and it's refer 10. So REFER, and then 10. All one word. Now, what it did say in the email was that is limited. I don't know if it's limited to 1 person or 10 people or however many. If that code doesn't work, there is another code which I was given by Sam herself, and that's Annie15, which brings the ticket price down to £15. I mean, £15 for a really good show in London is ludicrously cheap. you know, and that is Annie 15, ANNIE 15. Again, all one word.
Till the 1st of June.
Till the 1st of June.
Cool.
There's a couple of matinees on as well. So
weekends, I guess.
yeah,
Bank holiday
check the website. You know, it's absolutely brilliant, and we gave it 5 stars again. So it's great.
Well, I've heard about it quite a lot from you.
Yeah,
so I know it's
and
top of yours.
I mean, she did a woman's hour thing on Radio 4 the other day, and she's done interviews and all sorts. There's been a lot of talk about it around London, and I'm surprised it hasn't been sold. It's had some nights have been sold out, and it's well attended, but it's not full at the moment.
Okay.
You know, so go see it. It's brilliant. So that was Tuesday night. Wednesday night, I went to see. I went to the Cafe Auto in Dalston. Now, worth mentioning a bit about to see a band called Leia.
L-E-Y-A. Yeah, you recommended them to me. I'll give them a listen.
So, first of all, Cafe Auto. I've been to Cafe Auto once before. It's through the day. It's a cafe apparently, just off sort of Dalston High Street, and it's a venue for sort of I was going to say up and coming, but slightly left field sort of artists. You know, I mean, that night show was completely sold out, and the tickets weren't that expensive. I think I paid 18 quid for the tickets a months ago. Right. So we turned up. We were told that there's plenty of places to get food in Dalston. Yes, there is, but they're all fast food chains. We couldn't find a decent restaurant. There probably are some, but we really struggled, and we didn't want to.
Where's Dalston?
It's near Hackney.
Right.
It's fairly easy to get to from Hackney, so Hackney Tube. Although we got off at we were in town, so we actually I was going to say we spent the afternoon to Tate Modern, which I will tell you about, but and we were coming from central London to it, so we came a different way. But you can get, you know. So Cafe Auto is it's not a very big venue. I think 150 people. It would have been full, if that really. Some seated, and people who arrived late were standing at the back. They sell records, they sell books, got a bar. It's really quite a buzzy sort of place.
They sell cinnamon buns.
They don't sell cinnamon buns. Now I have a thing for cinnamon buns. And actually, slight sidebar. Best cinnamon bun I've found in London is in a place called Chocolatine, and they are in Walthamstow. I went.
You've had one this week.
I've had 2. I went there on the morning of us going to Cafe Auto. I will get to the point. I walk in, only 11 o'clock this, so not late. No cinnamon buns.
Outrage.
So I had to buy a cardamom bun, which was not quite as good. Anyway, so Cafe Auto. So yeah, and it's, I saw Colin Potter there a few years ago, who's an electronic artist, a friend of mine. And it's got a real buzz going for it as this place, really. It's quite difficult to get a gig there, I believe. So, and down to who was playing. So, the support act was a French artist living in London, and she was Vanessa. Apologies if I get your name wrong, Vanessa. Bedorat, Bedoret, and she played violin, and she had lots of looping going on. She was running Ableton Live with it might have been a Push, but it might have been one of the newer ones. I wasn't quite sure what the controller was, but she and her set was really complemented Leia really well, actually. In fact, I've bought her album on Bandcamp. But what she did do is she created loops, but then she would manipulate what she had on Ableton Live as well and sang, and she was really, really good. You know, she's touring around, she's doing Europe and things like that.
Did you flash up the album or something?
Sorry?
Flash the album up.
I will do. I'll
Might be
put a
worth
picture
it,
of the art. Yeah, good idea. I will do. Yeah, she was great actually. And then we had Leia. So Leia. So Leia's a duo. So we've got Merilu on harp and Adam on violin and vocals. They had it didn't look like Ableton, but they had a laptop with some backing on, but pretty much what they played live was the important bit. The backing really was there just to support what they were doing.
What was it, more ambience?
Yeah, and now the interesting thing about this is that, so they started with just like a harp piece. I mean, and she's obviously massive plumbing harp. I'm wondering if they brought that from America with them, because it's a really lovely instrument, you know. But there's no stage as such in Cafe Auto. There's just an area, and then you've got chairs round, and then people stand at the back. That whole area had a real, because he sort of sang away from the microphone, did Adam, and it almost had like a church type of reverb on it. So that whole area where because he was sort of crouched down when he came out, and he comes across as a really intense person. There weren't many jokes in there. Right. He had a pop at the police. He said "F the police" at one point. You know, maybe there's been issues with the police. I don't know, but he didn't say very much. But his vocals were absolutely beautiful, clearly classically trained to an incredibly high standard. There's only one other male singer that I've heard that good, and he's a guy. He's probably in his 70s now. A guy called, is it David Potter? I think his name's David Potter. I heard him sing in a church with electronic music back in New York a few years ago. Amazing voice, so check them out. They're on streaming, but they're also on Bandcamp as well. Again, I bought the album on Bandcamp rather than just listen to.
Yeah, you shared it with me. I've got it on my 2025 playlist. Yeah. Comes on rotation.
It's ambient. You might call it new classical.
Yeah, it's melodic as well, though. It's melodic.
But it's very. I mean, and the vocals are absolutely stunning. So, but he's incredibly intense. Is Adam. Whereas he almost didn't. You know, when people were clapping at the end of the song, he would almost keep his head down. Whereas Merilu would be, you know, saying thanks and all that sort of thing. But you know, and he had this T-shirt on because he was just dressed. She looked great. She had this amazing dress on, very sort of modern. He was just dressed in a T-shirt and black jeans, but the T-shirt was. It seemed sort of out of context, and I thought, here is a guy that doesn't just wear things for nothing, if you know what I mean. So the T-shirt he was wearing it just said Malibu on it, and I'm thinking, that can't be that he's just the place
or the drink.
You know, that's not. This guy doesn't do that. This guy, I got the impression, you know, in those 45, 50 minutes of the show, that he doesn't do things like that on a whim. No, Malibu is an artist, a French artist. So I've bought her album as well, because it's very much in context with what all of these three artists are doing. Okay. You know, same but different, if that makes sense. You know, but. Fantastic night. I was absolutely blown away by him. You know, it was as good. I met some nice people. I had some good chats with people when we were in the queue because we were early. Yes, back to where we ate. We couldn't find anywhere decent to eat, so we went to McDonald's. That was the best place we could come up with on the high street, which was McDonald's.
Nothing wrong with chicken nuggets.
Yeah, well, yeah, all right. So yeah, the only other thing I did was I went to Electronic Dreams at the Tate Modern in the afternoon, which is on for a little bit longer, and it's art and technology before the internet, and it's brilliant. We got him. It's 20 quid to get in. We got him for a tenner because we're art fund, but it goes through a lot of. I should try and show some of the pictures because there's no point sort of doing that. This is a little book that Janie bought for £5. So definitely worth a visit if you can. And slightly annoying, there's a couple of very early musical instruments, electronic musical instruments, which were not working. But it's getting towards the end. I think it finishes at the end of this month, so I suspect that's why it wasn't fixed really. That was my week pretty much. So
fun packed.
yeah, it was. It was. Apart from I've done my calving again. So I was a little
walking.
Well, actually, I was fine when I got into London. It's when that first night, and I have been hobbling around London on the tube, which is a bit of a pain in the neck, really.
A very productive week, it sounds like.
Yeah. The only other thing that happened this week, and this is our main topic, is that yesterday, because today's Friday, although this probably won't go on until next week, Thursday was the IVORS. Now, if you don't know what the IVORS Academy is, Ivan Novello was the but it's his name, but I don't know full details of this. But the IVORS Academy, they support songwriters and composers. That's their goal in life. But we had the awards, and now this year, a couple of months ago, I was invited, because I'm on PRS, Performing Rights Society, for £10 or $9.99, I could join the IVORS for a year. So I've joined the IVORS, so I am an IVORS member, and I get regular emails. I've gone into the site. I've gone to one of their online free Zoom calls with a group of artists, which was okay-ish, if I'm honest, for an hour. Anyway, Thursday was the IVORS day, so they had a conference through the day, and then the IVORS Awards. My first bugbear is that if I was a regular member and hadn't paid a discounted amount of money this year, it's about £90 a year to be an IVORS member. Okay. At the moment, I'm unsure of what I'm going to get out of it this year. The other thing is that for me to go to the IVORS Awards and the conference would have cost me £85
on top of
everything, membership. So yeah. So
I'm just looking up who are the winners.
Yeah. Well, I've got them here. So
Okay.
And I've got a bit of a rant coming about this. I did say I had them here, but I can't find them now.
So you didn't go?
I didn't go.
Right.
I came back. I was on the train.
Right.
And yes, I've had an email from the IVORS Academy saying today's winners of the IVORS Awards, and I've got something to say about some of them, if that's all right with you. Right, this year, Songwriter of the Year with Amazon Music, so there's a sponsorship, sponsored by Amazon Music, is Charlie XCX for Brat. Have you listened to Brat?
I'm not the demographic, but it was a big album, and it was very culturally hit the spot. I think. It was a big selling album. I think it was as I say, like a bit of a cultural movement in its own. I see why. I mean, I'm not going to be sniffy about it's pop music. I'm not going to be sniffy about whether they're good songs or not, but
I'm going to be controversial.
Best selling,
definitely best selling album. I think this is like I think this is a marketing ploy to some extent. I have listened to the album several times, and I can't get through it.
Right.
My main problem with it is I will talk about the quality of the songwriting. I don't think the songwriting is particularly good.
It's EDM, right?
It's EDM.
Yep.
I know, and I've said, here we are, old bloke talking about a genre that he's not particularly interested in. But my main problem, and it's debatable whether it is good songwriting in traditional sense or not. They're not conventional songs for me. My main problem is the fact that every song is auto-tuned that's why I can't listen to it. Right. I can't get past that sound of the auto-tuned vocals. I want to hear. Charlie XCX has got a good voice. She wouldn't be where she is if she didn't have. I want to hear her sing, not hear her manipulated. And it's like that. Even on the slow songs, it's like that. Because it's the usual sort of thing with an album. There's 2 or 3 fast songs, then there's a slow song, and then they pick it up again. That's fine. We see that all the time. I just can't get past that. And I don't think I haven't listened to each track. Even the hits, even the ones that, the singles that have been hits. I actually can't stand it. And I know there's a whole you talk about the cultural thing, but there's a whole thing about the colour of the album and the fact that, and it's this particular sort of green and all this sort of rubbish. I'll be
Yeah,
honest.
and Kamala Harris adopted it and stuff
Yeah,
in
exactly,
the election run.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, it was a global phenomenon.
It was, but it's just...
It's bubblegum pop. It kind of goes over. We're not the target audience.
We aren't the target audience, and I think the audience has been manipulated to a great deal.
I just wondered who won prior year, in 2024.
So, and then U2 apparently were in attendance. Who cares? If I'm honest.
I see Bono was there and being vocal.
Was he? Right. Then we had the best album, which is an artist that I didn't know, called Berwyn, Berwyn. Have you come across him?
No.
No, and it says here for his 2024 album, Who Am I? It's marking his first Ivor Novello Award. The judges praised the album's vivid storytelling that transcends generations, race and cultural differences, offering a voice for those often unseen by society. I completely agree with that, and actually I'd like the album more if it wasn't auto-tuned to death again.
Right.
And that's the first thing that I picked up on it. And there's some really interesting stuff going on there. He's got little sound bites of things that clearly have happened or are happening. And he's part rapper, and it's down as R&B. Again, it's not really what I would normally listen to. But I just thought, oh my God, here we go again with the auto-tune. Please, don't do that.
The songwriter last year was Ray.
Yeah. And then there was an award to Robbie Williams. Don't know if he was there or not. And then Lola Young was the latest under 25 songwriter to be awarded the Rising Star Award. Now, again, we're not her demographic, but I think I've listened to her quite a bit because my eldest son told me to have a listen to her. He said, "You'd probably quite like her," because I like Bee and Her Business, who performed at the IVORS actually. So my tip for the top, my rising star for 2025 is Bee and Her Business, who did perform, because she's had sort of 2 or 3 really great songs out. Good songwriter, you know, not auto-tuned to death, can clearly sing. If you see her on TikTok just singing with a piano, she's amazing, you know.
Yeah, I'm just looking. So Bono got a fellowship.
Did he?
Robbie Williams was Icon Award. Lola Young was the Rising Star.
Yeah. Brandon Flowers got a special international award. I'm assuming that he wrote all the Killers songs, did he?
Yeah.
Is that why he got that?
Yeah.
It's a frontman of the Killer and solo artist, it said here, right. And then we get to the best contemporary song, which is an artist I'd never heard of. Somebody called Sans Soucis, Soucis. I'm rubbish at pronouncing people's names. For their track, Circumnavigating Georgia. Now I have listened to this. I've done my research this morning.
Top notch.
Unlike
me.
Filming another. It's all right. Apart from filming another podcast, I've literally listened to it half times. It's great. Well deserved, I would say. It's a good song. It's it marks their first Ivor Novello Award, recognising the deep level of originality and careful selection of words. The song was praised by judges for leaving a lasting effect on the listener. That's probably true. It's really quite.
So what's the style? What kind of? Who would you liken it to?
It's a bit sort of folky country, I would have said. That's, you know, but I think I hate tags to some extent. You know, it's always quite difficult to. But it is a really good song, and I couldn't find an album, so I was looking to listen to more. And actually, here's an example on my Apple Music. The Charlie XCX album didn't survive. That's not on there anymore. Neither is the other guy, Berwyn. That didn't stay. I didn't add that. I added that though.
Right.
That definitely got added, so that'll get played more. And then the best song musically and lyrically was awarded to Orla Gartland. Now I know who Orla Gartland is. She's Irish. Okay, she's also in a band called Fizz, who came out in 2023, mainly because of there's a big YouTuber musician called Dodie who's also in the band with her. They're actually very, very talented. I actually think the first album came out was not as good as it probably could have been, but her song Mine, which I have listened to, is really, really good. I've also added the album. The album's much more pop. That's quite folky, is that song, but the album is a mix of those sort of folky type pop songs and, if you like, much more electronic pop songs. And I thought, great voice, no auto-tune, well-written songs. Need to listen to the album more. I only added it this morning, so I haven't listened to what the whole thing.
So did they show the awards on YouTube or anything? Can you go back and watch it?
I was hoping. You could see that. I think you could see the performances. There was about 4. Lola Young played, Being Her Business played, and a couple of others.
Right.
I think they can be seen on Amazon Music.
Right.
Or you can certainly hear them on Amazon Music. But no, and to be fair, as a member, if I couldn't go and couldn't afford to go, maybe I should have been able to. They should have streamed it. You know,
I think so.
No, if maybe they have and it's not available yet, I don't know. If it does become available, I will watch it. You know, the only other thing which on here was a Visionary Award went to with Amazon Music to Self Esteem. Now I like Self Esteem a lot. First 2 albums I think are great. New album, not so much, if I'm honest. A couple of tracks are okay, but it hasn't really. I haven't warmed to it so much. But I think she's great.
Nice to a great deal.
Yeah,
she does stuff like Disclosure and people like that, doesn't she?
And she was in a band called Slow Dive, who I remember, a duo, before she became Self Esteem. And she's from Sheffield, so she's northern.
Okay.
She's great, really. You know. There wasn't really much else. There's a.
So the only thing back to Charlie XCX then, just to round it off, I think it was a global hit.
It was.
She's British, right? It's still good.
Yeah.
Still good at exporting.
Yeah.
Although
she does write with an awful lot of other people.
Does she?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I have not looked at who she wrote what with.
But this tiny island's still
absolutely
producing lots of talented people and the music travels globally, which is good. Which is still.
I suppose my only real criticism of the IVORS is that where are the grassroots artists?
Is that more like the Mercury Music Prize and things like that?
No. You might get one. I mean, in theory, the Mercury, anybody can pay your fee and you can be listened to, but it is always dominated by major record labels. Right. It's very occasionally you'll have
much like the Brits. I think that's
absolutely
the way it runs.
No, is it just awards in general? I mean, I'm the guy that will never listen to the Oscars because I can't stand the award ceremonies. So that says it all really. But it would be nice for them to have. I know they've got an emerging award, but that's somebody who's the Rising Star Award. But Lola Young is clearly signed to a major record label and has had hits. What about all those hundreds of maybe thousands of artists out there that really are, and it all seems very pop music orientated. Now, if it's doing songwriters and composers, I mean, there is something about there was something somewhere about an award for the score of the body horror phenomenon, the Substance. So we've got there's a film score.
I saw there's a music game category
as well. Game, best original game, which is something called Farewell North, and then the best TV soundtrack, really. But it doesn't seem to be anything to do with classical. We've got a whole,
So would you renew your membership then?
Currently, no.
Right.
I mean, but the jury is still out, to be fair. I mean, to spend £85 to be a part of an organisation, I need to get something out of that for that £85. and I mean, I've only been a member since April, beginning of April, so less than 2 months. So far, I haven't got very much out of it, really. I got a little bit out of the Q&A thing. Well, it wasn't a Q&A. It was these 4 guys talking about how they made music, which was interesting.
So you're getting access to workshops, are you?
It wasn't even a workshop. It was literally, I mean, you couldn't interact with them. You know, everybody's on camera, but I'm assuming that they could see that my camera was active, but we couldn't talk to them.
Okay.
Whereas normally with those sort of, there's a company in Scotland called Sound who do fairly regularly. They do a fortnightly composer meetup on Zoom, and everybody's involved. You find out what everybody's doing. There's usually about, you know, maybe, I think most has been about 10 people, something like that. And then they've started to do things, which I was at last night when you were at the Bournemouth thing. They had this guy, and it was about how he composed his music. Now that was much more interactive because everybody was on camera. You turned your camera off while he was doing his talk. His talk was about half an hour, and then we had half an hour of Q&A, which actually overran, which was great because people were asking lots of questions about, you know, how he got funding, you know, how he was working on a project up in Yorkshire, actually in York, with, you know, and he works as an academic in his day job. So that was much more interesting and interactive than the thing with the IVORS, right. You know. The other thing about the IVORS is they did do one and they completely screwed it up, and I was literally sat there on my own.
Okay, so the jury's out.
The jury is
out. We'll report on it when we're deeper into your subscription.
In future, yeah. That's probably long enough for this one.
I think so. You managed to have a bit of a rant.
It can't be a good rant. Rants, you know. So, any recommendations?
Musically, I guess, what have I listened to this week that's anything caught my ear? Well, we went to the record fair in Frome, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago? Picked up some vinyl there.
I bought a Jean-Michel Jarre record that wasn't Jean-Michel Jarre. It was actually a music for pleasure. Well, it was just a collection of 633 Squadron and a load of sort of lounge music, which actually is not that bad, but it was in good condition. But it was the wrong record in the wrong record sleeve.
So I bought the second album from Nilifer Yunya, I think her name is. It's on Ninja Tune. Yeah. That was pre-Ninja Tune, because her latest album's just come out on Ninja Tune, which I really, really like, which is why I went back and found the second album. Just happened to find it amongst the many Pink Floyd albums.
There's loads of Pink Floyd.
So, and Led Zeppelin and Lynyrd Skynyrd. That's what you kind of get at record fairs.
There was loads of so much rock stuff. I mean, actually, having said that, I've been to that fair before, and sometimes there's one guy there who's got some really, really interesting experimental stuff. He wasn't there. He was there, but he wasn't there. He didn't have a stall. But it was pretty much generic rock, pop. Yeah, of a certain age as well, anything from the 60s onwards, really. You know.
So, because I really like her latest album, which was out probably at the turn of the year, she's now supporting Lord, because Lord's got a new album coming out, and she's supporting a pretty big, stadium.
Lord's great, actually.
Stadium type gigs. So, she's on a upward trajectory for sure. Then what else have I been listening to? I usually listen. Fridays are the kind of new music day. Just because I tend to listen to the release radar on Spotify.
He said the evil word Spotify. Don't buy Spotify.
But I didn't have a run this morning, which is usually when I consume that.
Right.
I had a lazy Friday morning, so Well, the one notable, probably worth saying, is Orbital have remixed and are re-releasing the Brown album because it's 30 years old.
Yeah.
And I did buy it first time round and love it.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of, each week they're releasing new remixes of certain tracks that are sympathetic to the original, but kind of done by, I guess, more current artists. So that's an album I'll be tempted to buy. I think I've got it on CD somewhere. Yeah. Just be interested to hear how it's been reimagined 30 years later.
I mean, my recommendations are all the music that I've already talked about today. All the stuff from Leia and Vanessa Bederett and Malibu would be my music recommendations. I've started watching the Shogun on Disney Plus, which is brilliant. Japanese. It's in English and Japanese. Although, interestingly, last night we had problems with suddenly the subtitles disappeared, and I had to put the CC English subtitles on to get anything, which is slightly irritating. But I suspect that's the thing with. That was something to do with Disney Plus rather than, literally halfway through the show, they just stopped working.
Wasn't there a series of that in like the 80s, 90s?
Yes,
Shogun?
there was. Right. In the early 80s, somebody lent me the book it's James Clavell's novel, Shogun, and I do remember reading it, great big thick thing. I can't remember that much about it, so it didn't really stay with me. And then there was a thing with Richard Chamberlain, which I think was a movie called Shogun. Again, I never saw that. So, but the TV series, if you've got Disney Plus, is really good. I mean, I'm 4 episodes in. There's
lots of horses and swords, probably.
Yeah, and lots of Japanese, and it looks brilliant. It looks rare, actually. That's it. I don't think there's anything else. We should have been we originally planned to talk about the government data bill, which we'll do in the next one. And my last thing, again, a bit of a rant, but in about, I think, 10 days' time, London has got South by Southwest London, which, if you don't know what South by Southwest is, it's normally in Texas. It's a showcase for up-and-coming artists to go. And I believe, never having been, but I believe that, artists from all over the world go and play there. And it's a sort of a music industry sort of get-together. And... I've known some sort of up-and-coming bands go and play there, literally, or bands on smaller. When we're talking about grassroots stuff, that's that would be where they would go and play.
Because anybody can apply for that.
Absolutely anybody.
Because I'm a member of that unsigned guide, and I see emails saying apply for South.
Yeah, and I mean some of the bands that I've known of old have gone over and played. And in fact, B and her business went and played. And there's a great artist out of Yorkshire called Ellure. She went and played this year as well. Check her out, she's great. Signed to a small label out of Leeds. We did sign up to see if we could go and review it, but they haven't come back to me, which is fine. But I am just appalled at the price. The price for everything to go to the conference and the gigs and all that is £1,300 plus VAT for 5 days. 6 days if you 6 days. That's a Saturday as well.
So it sounds like it's for industry types. I mean, if you work in the industry,
and I
want to be there.
If you work in the industry, you get it for free. It would be like my next. But yeah, so that's £1,560, which is too rich for me.
What's a new synth?
Exactly.
It's a couple of synths.
It's 2. Yeah, exactly.
2 hiders.
So I would like to see that a bit cheaper, if I'm honest. Anyway, that's going to be in a couple of weeks, but we probably won't be covering that because we ain't going unless we get to see some of it on the.
We'll check in on what happens.
The internet.
We'll check in on the headlines. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
We were going to end with an Ask Ian, where I ask you a random question.
All right, ask me a random question.
I'm just going to.
You can. Jason can ask me anything. And I will answer it honestly.
Random factor. Okay, this week we've covered a lot of purely music today, so I'll steer away from that. So, what was the first synthesizer you bought? Can you remember? You still got it?
No, but I've got the recreation of it. You can't see it, it's off camera. I'll put a picture up. My first synthesizer was bought in 1981, and it is a Korg 700, which came out in mid-70s, I think, 76, 77. And I bought it because I'd got a job with a band that were going to get signed. And up until that point, I played piano and organ in bands. And I went in, and it was more than a week's wages, second hand. And I bought it purely and simply because it was easy, no patches, and I had to do it. We had to literally set everything up at one. And I used to have bin cards with the settings on for each sound. So it was a Korg 700. wasn't a 700S, which came out a bit later on, and I had with it a Melos tape reverb unit. It's the only effect I had. And
did you use it then?
I used it all the time.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, that's why I rebought. I mean, they launched it a couple of years ago. So I've got the recreation now. I have just sold. I stupidly sold it in the 90s when nobody wanted analog synths for probably about, I don't know, 300 quid, something like that, something stupid. But I then bought it back again for a lot more, about 10, 12 years ago, and I've just sold that again. So that was my first synth, was a Cooke 700.
Very good.
And it's great, got great bass sounds, it's mono, you know, they've added a load of extra, I've got presets on it now, and you can store patches, which you couldn't do. It's got MIDI, MIDI didn't exist, you know, but great synth, and the right synth to buy, you know. I almost bought a Wasp, an EMS Wasp, which apparently they just fell apart. It wouldn't have lasted the gigs I did, really, you know.
Very
So
good.
yeah, okay. Is there ask Jason a question?
If you
There
want.
isn't, I haven't thought of anything. That's all. But
I prefer asking you.
all right, okay, that's
You've
fine.
got-
We'll
you've
we'll
got
leave it at that.
You've got a more interesting history.
Oh, but really? You think so?
Yeah.
We'll see you again soon. So thanks very much for watching or listening. I've been Ian.
Jason.
This has
see you
been
later.
Jason. See you next time.
Cheers.
Bye.
Sinners Music Records are offering 2 types of Bandcamp subscription. For £3 a month you get 21 back catalogue albums and EPs, plus any new releases. And for £10 a month you receive all their back catalogue releases as well as a limited edition white label compact disc version. 3 CDs will be sent out each month of your subscription. You will find the link to subscribe in the show notes.